Well, hello everyone, and welcome to week 3 of our course. We've got a few things we need to cover, so let's get started. Welcome to Professor Greer's This Week in the History of American Politics. Today's subject is the shooting and subsequent death of one of the most polarizing politicians in American history. Considering himself a champion of the common man, assisted in helping elect the first woman to be ever elected to the U.S. Senate, and he nicknamed himself the Kingfish. So this week's subject is the shooting of Louisiana Senator Huey P. Long on September 8, 1935. Huey Long was a flamboyant and demagogic governor of Louisiana and a U.S. senator whose social reforms and radical welfare proposals were ultimately overshadowed by the unprecedented executive dictatorship that he perpetuated through his political career to ensure the control of his home state. He was politically ambitious and won election to the State Railroad Commission at age 25. In this post, his calls for the equitable regulation of the state utility companies and his attacks on Standard Oil earned him widespread popularity. Among the common man, I should say. Long had a genuine contribution with an ambitious program of public works and welfare legislation in a state whose road system and social services had been sadly neglected by the wealthy elite that had long controlled the state government. Always the champion of the poor whites, he effected a free textbook law, launched a massive and very useful program of road and bridge building, expanded state university facilities, and erected a state hospital where free treatment for all was intended. He was opposed to excessive privileges for the rich, and he financed his improvements with the increased inheritance and income taxes, as well as severance tax on oil, earning him the bitter enmity of the wealthy and of the oil interest in the state of Louisiana. Huey Long's folksy manner and sympathy for the underprivileged diverted attention from his ruthless autocratic methods. Surrounding himself with gangster-like bodyguards, he dictated outright to members of the legislature, using intimidation if necessary. When he was about to leave office to serve in the U.S. Senate, he fired the legally elected lieutenant governor who was opposed to him and replaced him with two designated successors who would obey him while he was in Washington. In order to fend off local challenges to his control, in 1934, he effected radical changes in the Louisiana government, abolishing local government and taking local government that wasn't his cronies, and taking personal control of all education, police, and fire job appointments throughout the state. If you didn't believe in Long's views, you didn't get a job in the state. He achieved absolute control of the state militia, the judiciary, and election and tax assessing apparatus, while denying citizens any legal or electoral redress. In the Senate, the U.S. Senate, 1932 to 1935, he sought national power with a, quote, share the wealth, end quote, program. Every man a king was the catchphrase, which was tempting to the Great Depression era shocked public. In 1934, he transformed his proposed programs into a national crusade by establishing the Share Our Wealth Society, inviting Americans everywhere to organize local branches. Taken to the spring of 1935, he estimated that he would have won up to 4 million votes in the next year's presidential election, thus wielding a balance of power between the two major parties. Long didn't consider himself a Republican or a Democrat. He considered himself his own party, which he never formally named except the Share the Wealth Party, which never ever took root. Long was at the height of his power when assassinated by a man named Dr. Carl Austin Weiss, the son of a man who he had criticized, also tried to redistrict him out of office. The Long political career dynasty was carried on by his brother, Earl K. Long, who served as governor from 1939 to 1940, and then once again 1948 through 52, then 56 through 60. And his son, Russell B. Long, served in the U.S. Senate from 1948 to 1987. So what was the political ramifications of the existence of Huey Long? Well, first, he supported Franklin Roosevelt in the election of 1932, then broke from FDR and ran for president in the election of 1936. After a meeting with FDR at the White House, Long was disillusioned with FDR's plan and decided to run for president against him. A structured influence on the first woman, a direct influence for the first woman to be elected to the United States Senate. Her name was Hattie Wyatt Caraway of Arkansas. Long campaigned exhaustively for Caraway, drove up to the state of Arkansas with his band of electioneers and successfully won the Arkansas United States Senate for her. And although she ran on her own account, she was a brilliant woman, but nonetheless, she was a woman, so it took a long time for this to happen. He created a large infrastructure program in Louisiana that supported large economic growth in the state. At one point, Louisiana had more paved or improved roads and bridges than all the former Confederate states combined. He was incredibly corrupt, but the common man ignored his activities because a great deal of Long's work benefited the common person. At one point, he began deducting state employees' pay for his personal political purposes. At one point, he bragged that there was over $1 million in the deduct box, and that money was never ever recovered. Okay, so we have discussion 3 this week, and the title of this week's subject is the participation of the people. I'm repeating some of this, so discussion 2 through 6 are to utilize the video lectures as the information for the discussions. Your thread should be at least 150 words long. Your student response should be, 100 words long. Note, you only get a grade, for your discussion if you have an original post and a response to a student's post. The rubric used to grade your discussion will be posted in the thread, and the directions to take the discussion 3 are as follows. Go to the content folder, click week 3, start your thread, follow the directions, and submit when concluded. And then I will grade it and send you, and you can see what the grade is on iLearn or your Blackboard, and then I will send you an email with your grade also. Okay, so chapters 6 and 7 and the quiz for this week 3. The textbook readings for the course are all online and noted as Smart Book 2.0 in the iLearn and in your Blackboard. When you complete the quiz at the end of the reading, you will be automatically rewarded 30 points. But remember, you must complete the reading and quiz to be rewarded 30 points. To take the readings and the quiz in iLearn, first go to week 3, go to the content folder, click on SB, which is the Smart Book, read the chapters assigned, and take the quizzes. Think of the quizzes as your final exam study guide. These are the questions, or the final exam will take its questions from your readings. Submit when concluded, and you automatically receive 30 points. Okay, so the video lectures for the week for discussion 3 are political socialization and policy engagement and political activism. Remember, these video lectures are to be used as the information for discussion 3. The textbook is not to be used as information for the discussion. Okay? Well, now you should be aware of the information expectations of week 3. Good luck on your work this week. You're going to do great. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, please contact me, all right? So, for me, it's time for a donut. Have a great week, everybody.